Dry masters. So the word truth is thrown around a lot today, used as weapons and anti-weapons and so on. The Bible says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Let's talk about that kind of truth. There are two fundamental truths. They're not arguable. They're experiential. They're the same in Russia. They're the same here. They're the same everywhere. They've always been the same. That forms a foundation that cuts through all the noise that people get themselves into. One of them, they're funny truths. They're ones people don't want to think about. They know about them. They don't want to think about them. One of them is that you're sitting on a planet spinning around the middle of nowheres. And I mean nowheres. This is something I've learned to contemplate since I was young, in my 20s. And I make myself think about it all the time. And I mean all the time. Because it's the truth. I'm sitting on a planet in the middle of absolutely nowheres. There's nothing but black, dark, empty space all around. And there's this beautiful little planet. I don't want you to see it like the astronauts see it from the space station. That's way too big. When you come in that door, the opposite wall, there's a picture that Cassini took on her way to Saturn from 2 million miles out. Not a measly few hundred miles, whatever. 2 million miles out, and you see the Earth like you'd see Mars through a telescope. It's just this tiny little thing. It's gorgeous, and it's just spinning around the middle of black, dark, empty space. Why would you want to think about that all the time? Because it's the truth. That's real truth. You don't have the right not to think about that. If you're not paying attention to what represents 99.999999% of your universe, you're not paying attention. And that's why there's so much neurosis. That's why there's so much tension and so much anxiety. I did 30 years of prison work at the maximum security prisons, and I remember a young man telling me that he was locked in this cell for years and years and years, and what happens is your mind becomes very small, and if like your comb isn't exactly where you thought you left it, you get upset. And if your shoes aren't exactly the way you thought they were, it's like your world becomes really, really small. And what happens is you get upset about stupid little tiny things. It doesn't matter. Because your mind, you've permitted your mind to become fixated on a tiny, tiny, tiny part of the universe. Everybody's done that. Not people locked up in a cell. The mind of a human being doesn't look up. Some of them did. Einstein did. Some of them did. It's called universal thought, universal mind, as opposed to limited personal mind. The limited personal mind only thinks about the moments that are in front of it, or the moments that have been in front of it, or the moments that will be in front of it. That's as small as being locked in a cell. The moment that's in front of you is what part of the universe? It's so small, it's ridiculous. It's 0.000. We call it statistically insignificant. It's a meaningless thing that's in front of you. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just one part of the universe. If you look to the right, you see a different one. Look to the left, you see a different one. Run 10 feet, you'll see a different one. Go any place you go, there's a different one. Not just on Earth, everywhere. So these moments in the universe, and if you let your mind do it, and we do, it becomes fixated just because those are the moments that came in through your senses. Those are the only moments your mind knows about. And so it ignores the entire universe and says the moments that I've experienced matter. They don't matter. They don't matter. They're exactly the same as every other moment. If I moved you and put you into a different moment, you would say that one matters. I understand. Either it matters or it doesn't. Every single moment in the universe is the same as every other moment in the universe. It's a moment in creation. It took 13.8 billion years to get here, and all of them are connected with each other. So you learn that in order to have a healthy and beautiful life, and you can, everyone can, you have to expand, I'm not going to say expand your consciousness, expand your thought realm so that it includes more than your personal little world, because your personal little world is nothing. So you start by realizing the truth that you are sitting on a planet spinning in the middle of nowheres. And I can't help myself, I like to put it in proportion. I like your mind too. What does that mean, spin in the middle of nowheres? The sun is 93 million miles away, your closest star. What's in between? Nothing. Nothing. I mean, it could be subatomic particles or gamma rays, but as far as you're concerned, nothing. There's nothing. Miami's 360 miles away. The sun's 93 million miles away. And there's nothing in between. Every once in a while, a blip of a planet might line up. Not usually. So what is in that realm? It is empty blackness. It is nothing. There's no color. There's no shape. There's no noise. There's no anything. It's just nothing. And you're on this planet where there's all these things going on. Then I like to stretch the realm of your mind. This is what science has taught us. Why don't we listen? That your next closest star to the sun is 4.5 light years away. Not 93 million miles. A term that most people can think about. 4.5 light years. What does that mean? If you hold a beam of light above the earth and let it go for 1 second, it circumnavigates the globe 7.5 times. That's how fast it is. Go that speed for 4.5 years every second, and you will reach the next star. And there are 300 billion stars in your galaxy, and they are now saying that there are 2 to 3 trillion galaxies. Therefore, what is going on in your little spot is nothing. Wake up. You try to make it be something, but it is nothing. And if your mind wants to say, why would I want to think like that? Because it's the truth. How's that? I challenge you. It is the truth. And if you're not paying attention to the truth, you're living a lie. You're living a fictitious, made-up thing. That's what the mind ends up doing. Because if left to default, your mind will get sucked into your world. It will get sucked into just the moments that are in front of you. I use the analogy, the example of you're invited to Spielberg's house or Gates' house. Gorgeous mansion everywhere, right? And they're having a party. There's music. There's actors and actresses. And oh, my God, it's unbelievable. And you walk in, and you walk by a little room, just a little closet where they keep some stuff. And there's a little TV in there. And the subject matter on the TV is fascinating to you. It interests you so much that it catches your attention, and you walk in and sit down in front of this little, 15-inch flat screen. And what's going on is so fascinating that you spend your entire time watching the TV. Were you or were you not in Spielberg's house? Well, your body was, but you weren't. It was focused on this tiny little object. That is what's happening to human beings who live in this world. You're in a universe that goes on everywhere. It's so expansive, it's ridiculous. If the planet blew up and disappeared, I'm sorry, I don't want to frighten you. I don't have any inside information. But if the planet blew up and disappeared, it would make no difference. I'm sorry. It would make no difference. A couple of planets would change their orbit. Not much. Maybe your star would warble a drop. Nothing else would do anything for all 300 billion stars, for all trillions of galaxies. That's the universe. That's what I call the truth. That's my truth. I don't know about yours, all right, but that's the truth. And everybody agrees with it, but they won't pay attention to it. They don't make it be part of their everyday life. The everyday life is just focused on the TV screen that you happen to be interested in, which is nothing, which is just rounds to zero, the amount of the universe that you're paying attention to. So that's the first truth, is that you have dropped down somehow, none of my business. You got here. Did you take a spaceship? Look how long it takes to get to Mars. How'd you get to Earth? Someday you'll find out. But net result is you're sitting on a planet, spinning in the middle of nowheres, and there's all this stuff going on. You can play business, you can play doctor, you can play nurse, you can play golf, you can play tiddlywinks, you can play a saxophone, you can do whatever you want. It's an amazing place. Go to Mars, there's nothing going on. Go to Jupiter, go to Saturn, go anywhere, right? We have never seen anything, not even a protozoa, going on anywheres. But here, my God, there's trees, there's elephants, there's giraffes. Earth is God's idea of Disney World. There's nothing even close. People say, well, the universe is so big, there must be life somewhere else. I don't want to say that. I have no idea what's going on. All I know is we haven't found anything. Well, we have the Hubble Space Telescope out there. We have all kinds of stuff. We've looked at everything. We have never found anything but dirt and gases, basically. But yet on this planet, every single second, there's all this stuff going on. So you have dropped down onto a planet that's really special, and it's spinning around in the middle of nowhere. So that's the first truth. Just contemplating that, using your brilliant mind, which gives you when I was in elementary school, they taught you that the difference between humans and other mammals and other animals is a human has a capability of abstract thought. I don't know whether others do. I'm not claiming to know any other animals, right? But you have the ability of abstract thought. What does abstract thought mean? You can think about things that aren't in front of you. You can abstract from what is coming in through your senses. Well, why don't you use that? You have the ability to position yourself in the whole universe. Can you see what tension that would take off of you? You think it's so important what's happening in front of you, what people are saying, what they're doing. If somebody walks by that you know and you say hello, I don't want to point out the neurosis. You say hello and they don't say hello back, it bothers you. Okay? Why don't you put it in perspective? There's a whole universe going on. It's pretty neat that there are even people and that you can even understand their language. Whatever, right? I always, if my mind does that, I say there's 7.5 billion people on the planet Earth. They didn't say hello either. All right? Learn to think in a way that is healthy, just like you learn to eat in a way that's healthy. Learn to think in a way that does not allow your mind to become like an ingrown toenail, that all it thinks about is you. That all it thinks about is what is in front of you and what has been in front of you and what it can think about might be in front of you. All right? And you're all freaked out about what has been in front of you. You're all freaked out about what is in front of you. And you're sure as heck freaked about what the mind makes up might be in front of you. And then you wonder why there's tension. You wonder why there's anxiety. You wonder why life is so difficult. Life is not difficult. Life is not difficult. You've dropped down onto a planet that's been here for 4.5 billion years. It's fascinating. There's all kinds of things going on, right? If you want food, you just pull it out of the ground and eat it. It's just amazing. You have a body. There's 24 trillion living cells that make up your body. What an amazing thing. So you have a body, you have a mind, you have a heart, and you're put onto this amazing planet. Everything else in the universe, when I give you these distances we talk about, everything else, pretty much everything else in the universe is nothing. It's not like it's second place. It doesn't even rank. There's nothing going on. It's just black, empty space. Even the stars, okay? I told you the next closest star to the sun, to your sun, is 4.5 light years away. What about the next galaxy? Now that you have 300 billion stars, of which is nothing but emptiness. There's just all that space in between. Your next galaxy, I think, is 2.4 or 2.6 million light years away. Just go at that speed for 2.5, 2.6 million years, and you hit the next of 2 trillion galaxies. So there's nothing but empty space everywhere. No color, no sound, no this, no that, just empty black space. How often do you have absolutely nothing in front of you? Never. And you have these cells that make up your body, and you have a mind that creates thoughts. You have a heart that creates emotions. How did you do that? Make your mind. Make a mind. Nobody can do that. You were given a gift of dropping down onto a planet and having all these experiences. And somehow we managed to make a mess out of that. We managed to become neurotic. We managed to be full of fear. We managed to be full of anxiety. We managed to just get uptight all the time. Why would you do that? Why not just enjoy the fact that you dropped down to a planet? If you didn't make the planet, you didn't make the moment in front of you. You sure as heck didn't make all the moments that aren't in front of you, which I hope you're intelligent enough to understand are exactly the same as the moment that is in front of you, except to you, because you're making a thing out of it. You have to learn to think scientifically about life. Everything is moments in the universe, in time and space. There's a moment, and one of them is in front of you. How many are not in front of you? People make a big deal about I like my favorite thing. Somebody says, I'm afraid of missing things. You are missing everything. Do you understand that? You're experiencing 0.000000001% of what's going on, and you're afraid of missing something. Right? Now we're going to talk about why the mind gets like that. But you can't enjoy your life, and you can't even be productive and giving in life if what you've done with your mind is lowered it down to this tiny little piece that you experienced and then make a whole thing about it inside your head that you think you know something. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. but I read some books. What percentage of all the books have you read? What if you read a different book? Would you think differently? Yes. What if you had a different experience? Would you be different? Yes. So it's just sort of these experiences are unfolding in front of you. Your mind is making a big deal out of them because they're the ones you experience, but just because they're the ones you experience doesn't make them special, doesn't make them different. If you were somewhere else, you'd experience that. This is this is the difference between wisdom and intelligence. Intelligence collects the little bit of data that it has, and it makes a big deal out of it. Wisdom sits there and says, I don't know squat. I don't know squat. My beliefs, my opinions, my preferences, my hopes, my dreams, my concepts, my views, they're just things that I picked up. They're data that I picked up along the way because I read a book, saw a movie, met a person, got divorced, whatever it is. I had these experiences. How many experiences? They seem like a lot to me. They're the ones I had, but they're nothing. If you had different experiences, your mind would think differently. Skinner, the psychologist, says man is the sum of his learned experiences. It's not true. Your mind is the sum of your learned experience. Your psyche is the sum of your learned experiences. Someday you're going to find out, and I hope you've been here enough to understand that you are in there noticing that your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. You watch your thoughts. You feel your emotions. Okay? You are not your emotions. You are the feeler of your emotions. You are the one who experiences your emotions. You say that all the time. My heart is killing me. Whose heart? Ever since he left me, I just have all this pain. How do you know? Because I'm in here. Was it always like that? No. It used to be filled with love. How do you know? Because I'm in here. You're the consciousness that is experiencing the thoughts created by the mind. You are the conscious experiencing the feelings that are created by the heart. And you are the consciousness that is receiving the input that's coming in through the senses. Fine. That's you. That's what they call the soul, the Atman, the essence, self. I don't know what you want to call it. I just ask you, are you in there? And everyone always says yes. I've never had anybody say no anytime I ever ask them. All right? So you are in there experiencing life on the planet Earth. That's one big truth that you should never forget. Never, never. I used to do the following when I was training myself when I was 22 years old, 23 years old, back in the early 70s. Every time I got into my car, before I started the car, it doesn't take time. It just takes consciousness, mindfulness. I would stop before I put the key in the ignition, and I would remember that I'm sitting on a planet in the middle of nowhere about to scoot around on a car. Well, that's pretty weird, all right? Just like it was weird when we put those robots and stuff up on Mars, right? And they were scooting around. That was a big deal. Well, you're scooting around on the planet Earth. It's exactly the same. And then when I got out of the car, I'd do the same thing. And I just trained my mind to dare to be universal in thought, to dare to think broader. And it changes everything. It changes everything. You don't get an ingrown toenail because you've expanded it out. Otherwise, it naturally just gets fixated, like watching the TV. It gets fixated on the input that's coming in, and somehow it thinks that's your universe. Your universe is the universe. Don't create another one, all right? So one truth that is an absolute truth is you're sitting on a planet spinning in the middle of nowheres. There's a second truth. You're not going to like this one either. What? You ain't staying. You're not. We did a statistical study. They do regression analysis and correlation coefficients and stuff, right? Of things that were born and things that died. Very high correlation. Like 100%. Anything that was ever born died, going back as far as you want to go, of any species. Well, you're going to die too. So you drop down onto this planet, spin in the middle of nowheres. You hang out here for, who cares, 80, 90, 100. What's the difference? For some period of time. And then you have experiences, and then you leave. I have no interest in your beliefs. I'm going to tell you something. You don't know where you came from. You don't know where you're going. All right? But what's exciting is that someday you'll find out. That's why I know people have trouble with this. Someday you're going to be laying on your deathbed, and instead of freaking out that you don't want to die, or, you didn't experience what you want to experience, which I already told you was about you haven't experienced anything, you sit there and realize one of the greatest mysteries that has existed from Aristotle, Plato, all the way back to whenever people could think is there a life after death? Will I still be here? Well, you're going to find out. And I just don't understand why people have a problem with that. You want to have an adventure? There's an adventure. You want to explore? There's an exploration. But basically, the second truth that is an absolute truth is you have dropped down onto planet Earth, that's the first, and you're not going to stay here. What does that mean? How could you have such a big problem? If you go on a vacation, you stay in some place, you know you're just going to be there for a day or two. Come on, man. You can handle stuff. You understand that? Well, it's the same thing here. You're a guest. You're a guest. You have dropped down onto a planet that's been here for 4.5 billion years in a universe that took 13.8 billion to create. You didn't do any of it, nor did anybody else. And you're just down here visiting, and you're going to stay for a little while, and then you're going to die. Then you're going to leave. You're not going to be on the planet Earth. So it's not a problem. It's just reality. That's the second truth. So what does it mean? It means it's crazy to not enjoy your journey. You're supposed to be enjoying every single second of every single minute of your life. Why? You're like this kid that was given all these gifts. A body with 24 trillion cells, a mind. Your mind can do anything. What a gift you were given. You understand that? And your heart, oh my God, it can be sad, it can be happy, it can be excited, it can feel all these different emotions, like an orchestra. It can play all these different tunes, and you get to walk around and see all the different things. Like if you go to a botanical garden, there's all these orchids and this and that. They all came from Earth. Nobody made them. You understand that? You go to a zoo, there's all these animals. They're really on the planet. You were dropped down in a fish in the sea. God, how can you not be having a blast every single second of your life? That's what those truths, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set ye free. Free of what? Of this mess that we're doing with our minds. So let's talk about why most people, in fact, almost nobody, is able to literally be in a state of ecstasy, to be in a complete state of total well-being for the entire journey that you're sitting on this planet. You were sent on a vacation. Here you drop down. This is what you get to do. I like to play with students to sit there and say, make believe that we're not on Earth, that we're way back there looking at that picture I was talking to you about, 2 million miles out. There's a planet down there, and I'm your guide, and you're just souls, your spirit, right? And I tell you, we're going to go down and visit the planet Earth. And it's an amazing place. And explain to you all the different things that there are there, and the trees and the grass and the things, they all take care of themselves. And there's an irrigation system built into the planet that the heat absorbs from the ocean. It forms a cloud and it floats over it like a little watering pot, and it waters there. Oh my God, it's an amazing place. You get to go there. Well, you're all very excited, but you won't stay. We'll just stay for a little while, a few years. All right? What do you want to do? Just for kicks. We're going on a field trip. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? And every one of you get all excited. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a scientist and figure out things. I want to be a musician and play the greatest things, right? All that stuff, right? And I read every one of them, and it's amazing. Not one of you said, not one, I want to go down there and become a neurotic mess. Wake up and can't sleep at night, and I'm scared to death, and I'm afraid what people can think of me, and I'm afraid what I look like, and I get a little zit on my face, and I'm freaking out. And nobody wrote that. Why? And so you start to question, what's going on? How did you blow this? How did it happen that you dropped down in this amazing place, and there's just total fear and anxiety and tension and stress and so on and so forth? Can we talk about it? Okay. What happens is you drop down here. Let's make believe you're clean. There are people who say you don't come down clean, but we're not going to discuss that. You drop down here and say it's empty. We'll just talk about empty mind. You're clean. Well, what happens is the lowest function of your mind is that it receives your senses. That's the most basic function. It runs your body and it receives the senses. If you were not receiving your senses, you might as well not come down here. If you don't have sight, sound, taste, touch, so on, you're not experiencing the planet. There's nothing wrong with you. You're still in there, but you're not experiencing the planet. So your first function of dropping down onto the planet is to have a robot, if you will, a body that's able to experience at least the moment that's in front of you. Doesn't experience more, but it can at least experience that. So that's what happens when you drop in, is you start experiencing what is coming in through your senses, and your mind receives this for you, and you experience it. You're like I always say, you're the end user. People say, should I call it the self, the Atman, the soul? No, the end user. You're the end user. You receive what's coming in through the eyes. You receive what's coming in through the ears. You are back there being conscious of what is being sent in through your senses. But they are sensors, all right? And they come in and you receive them. What happens is everything in life has its nature. A rattlesnake is scary. Not because you said it was. It means to be. If you see a rattlesnake rattling and all coiled up, you don't have to know that it's dangerous. It's giving off vibrations that say danger. A butterfly doesn't do that. A butterfly is soft and loving or whatever, gentle. So when you experience these things, the physiology of them come in, so does their vibration. And you in there experience this. So you're going to feel some fear, some uncomfortableness because of the rattlesnake. It's natural. It's its nature. You're going to feel excitement, comfortable, whatever, pleasantness about the butterfly. These are natural things. And now here's where the fun starts. You in there don't like, depending upon the evolution of your being, you don't like the rattlesnake. I don't like the feeling that came in. And I don't want to have experienced that. Now you listen to me. The deepest thing I can ever teach you is right here. This is in truth the original sin. This is the fall from the garden. You'll see it someday if you go deep enough. Why? The event comes in, the rattlesnake crawled away. It's over. But it's not over for you. Why? Because you didn't like it. You did the funniest thing in the world. You kept it. You didn't like the experience. So you did what Freud called suppress, repress. He's talking about big things. I like talking about you resisted it. How's that? Suppression and repression are just serious or denial. Those are serious resistances. But it's the same process. You are resisting the experience you had. So that but you had the experience. You can't undo the experience. You can't get rid of the experience. You had it, right? But when it came in, it formed in your mind. That's where you received it inside. You are watching it all in here on a flat screen TV of your mind. You're not, I told you, I shouldn't have to tell you this. You are not looking out through your eyes. Do you understand that? You have never looked out through your eyes. Light is bouncing off of objects, reflecting back, stimulating your optical receptors, light-sensitive nerves, cells, and then it's being passed up the wires of your nervous system, and it's rendering within your mind. And you are literally looking at me in there. Do you know that? This is not yogic. This is science, right? That's the same with sound, same with everything. You are in here, and your mind is so brilliant that it gives you a sense of depth perception, but you're just sitting in there watching TV. You're all couch potatoes. All right? You are sitting in there watching TV, a flat screen of the mind, okay? So it sends it in. Now the rattlesnake goes away, but the whole experience that came in, which would pass if you let it, everything passes. The white lines on the road pass, the trees pass, the people pass, the cars pass, the clouds pass. That's what it's doing. It's coming and it's going, just like watching TV. The scenes on the TV go away. Why? So that the next one can be there. But you didn't do that with that rattlesnake, did you? It came in, you weren't able to handle its vibration, so you resisted it. And by resisting it, you kept it. What does that mean? It means you saw the snake, it crawled away, and now all of a sudden something else is in front of you, but you don't see that something else is in front of you. All you see is the snake. But it's not there. All of a sudden there's a rope coiled up. You get all scared. You wouldn't have done that about the rope before you saw the snake. It shouldn't sound trite to you. This is what's going on. You held that inside your mind. Where? Inside your mind. You just build a little packet of the energy and left it there. Now your consciousness, the consciousness, the one who watches TV or doesn't, right, has a competition as to whether I'm going to receive what's coming through the senses or whether I'm going to pay attention to what is stuck inside my mind. It used to be you just experience reality. Here it is, coming and going. But now you let your mind become fixated on this packet of energy that you resisted. There's actually, Freud was not the first one to talk about this. In the ancient Puranas and Upanishads, the yogis called this a samskara. That is part of yogic philosophy from thousands of years ago. That is a samskara. Why would yogis know? Because they meditated. What did that mean? They noticed there was this junk inside their mind, right? And that they couldn't get out unless they let it go. And that was the whole process of meditation. That's why they locked themselves in caves to try and not take more stuff in. You don't have to. But remember, Newton said, I'm standing on the shoulder of giants and I see for miles. We can listen to what they found out. What they found out is there's some junk in there. And that junk is drawing my attention. And therefore, I'm stuck in here. I'm stuck watching the TV. Do I have to be stuck? Well, it's kind of nice to know you don't. It's kind of nice to know that's what it's all about, right? Is you do not have to be stuck watching the TV of what you stuck inside your mind. But if you don't work on it, you're going to be stuck. Why? There's a reason you kept the rattlesnake in there. If it was neutral, it would have made it right through. You kept it in there because you're not comfortable with it. So every time you resist something and don't let reality win, this is the experience I had. Now it's gone. Here's the next experience. Here's the next experience. I am learning from every experience I'm having. I'm enjoying my experience on the planet Earth. I'm having all these experiences. I'm becoming a greater being because I'm having these experiences. There are no good experiences or bad experiences. There are just experiences. A person that had a relationship that lasted their entire life for 50 years, they were married to the same person, it lasted the whole time, and then there's another person that got married, and after 3 years they got divorced. Who's better off? The person who had a relationship that lasted their whole life didn't get to experience what it was like to go through a divorce and love somebody, and then all of a sudden there's all this garbage going on, and then you have to recover from that, all right? And the person who went through the short marriage didn't have the experience of having the long term. So nobody's better off. Every single experience you have is evolutionary to you. You have experiences and you become better because of that. You grow. You become a greater being because you had an experience. No one will say that to you. There's no experience that life can bring you that is not to your benefit if you are willing to learn from it, grow from it, expand from it. That's just what's going on, all right? But you're not. And so you push away things that are not comfortable to you. If you push them away, they stay inside of you. They run your life. If you stop pushing them away, there's just the experience of life. But we don't do that. We naturally, instinctually push them away. And when we push them away, they keep coming back up. And so now during the day, not just at night, I call them daymares instead of nightmares, is this stuff comes up and then it talks all the time. And you have insight, well, what if I did that? Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. That was so stupid. Yes or no? All right. And next thing you know, you're full of this garbage going on inside your mind that makes it so you can't enjoy your life. How could you possibly enjoy your life with all that stuff going on? You're driving down the road, having a good time, experiencing something, and somebody's driving in front of you slower than you want to go. You look to see if you can pass. You can't pass. You're stuck behind this person. How are you doing? You should be doing wonderful. It's just, you scoot around the planet Earth in a little car, and there's a car in front of you driving 10 miles an hour below the speed limit. Believe me, in a few blocks they'll turn off, but that's not what goes on. Come on, buddy, didn't you see the speed limit? The thing, you didn't blink. What's wrong with these people? They must have no place to go. And you realize you're driving yourself crazy. How could you possibly enjoy your life? Yes, there are moments you enjoy. Which ones? The ones that fit your stuff. You suppressed all this stuff, and all of a sudden you heard, we just passed a law that they're going to get rid of all rattlesnakes within 100 miles of where you live. I'm having a good day. How about you? Unless I happen to be a reptile collector and a student of reptiles, and now I lose my master's degree. It's just whatever you have stored inside your mind, if the moment that's unfolding in front of you matches it, yes, I agree, you feel good. But if it doesn't match it, you either feel bad or don't feel good. And of course, the moments in front of you are not going to match. That's the most important thing I would ever teach you. The moments in front of you that happen to be the result of all the forces that cause them to be the way they are. You're the tiniest little input that possibly could exist. You understand that? You're not in charge of the weather. You're not in charge of the 24 trillion cells in everybody else's body. You're not in charge of what happened to everybody else throughout their life. There are a lot of variables. So the moment unfolding in front of you is not going to match what you want. I hope you've noticed that by now. All right? There's not a reason in the world that would match what you want. You made up what you want based on this garbage that you stored from your past experiences. Either you didn't like your past experience, so you made up, I don't want it to happen, or you really, and I'm talking about this part, those are negative some scars, and now there's positive some scars. What does that mean? An event happened that you really, really liked. You clung to it. What do you mean? You kept it inside your mind because you wanted to. The other one you kept inside your mind because you didn't want to experience it. So you tried to push it away. This one you hold on to. So you meet somebody and they turn you on, and for the next, we say you're floating on a cloud. What does that mean? For the next 6 hours, you don't see people, places, things. You better not be driving. You're not out here experiencing reality. So what you have built inside your mind, the data you held inside your mind, are the experiences that you didn't want to have, and they keep trying to come back up. You keep having to push them away or rationalize them or do something. You're busy in there. And then the experiences you did want to have, which by the way aren't that many, right, that felt really good, and you held those in there, but now they ruin your life. Why? Because you want them to happen again. So now you can't experience reality. I saw the cutest little puppy when I was little, right? I keep trying to find it again. I want a dog, but he's not anything like that dog. Right? I had a relationship when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade with Johnny. It was so amazing. And his parents took him away before we ever had a fight. It was just, and I'm keep looking for Johnny. Even on going the web, I look for him, all right? On Facebook and stuff. Whoa. And we consider this normal behavior, do we? All right? What happened to all the other people you met? What happened to all the other experiences that are unfolding in front of you? They weren't Johnny. Do you see that? That's why yogis teach you the great teachings that these samskaras are a problem. They're not a solution. If you store things inside your head that you don't like, you have just stored reasons for fear. I'm now afraid I'll see a snake. I'm afraid I'll get divorced. You can't get married again. Why? I might get divorced. There are people that their parents got divorced when they were little, and it was so hard for them that they refused to get married because they don't want their children to go through what they went through. I hope that didn't sound rational. Okay? But you know darn well I'm not stretching it. All right? So you end up unable to enjoy your life because you stored all this garbage in here. So you're either trying to avoid what made you feel bad before, or you're trying to cling to or find again that which felt good. And now you end up building a model inside your head saying, this is who I am. Well, obviously not who you are. You're the one who built the model. Okay? You're the one who's experiencing what's going on inside your head. And so basically what you end up doing is saying, this is who I am. The person that likes this, person doesn't like this, person who believes in this, person doesn't believe in that. All my concepts, my views, my opinions, my preferences, my hopes, my dreams, those are mental thoughts. Where did you get those? They're based on the experiences you've had. No matter how strong you feel about something, if you had a different experience, I'm telling you, you would feel differently. You're madly in love with somebody. You think they're your soulmate. It's so perfect. Somebody walks up to you and tells you something about that person you didn't know. They ain't your soulmate anymore until you find out it was April Fool's Day and they were kidding you. You're saying that? That's how quick it can change, right or wrong. And we live with this. That's crazy. So instead, you take a look at this and you say, my life is now limited to getting what I want and avoiding what I don't want. But that means I have to be at war with life. I thought I'm going to come down here and have fun. I thought I'm going to have a good time and enjoy my experience, right? No, because I'm only okay if the moment unfolding in front of me, including the weather and everything else, and the driver in front of me, and what somebody says to me or doesn't say, everything has to match this model I built inside my head of how I want it to be and how I don't want it to be. If something even starts to happen that smells like it might turn into something I don't want to be, I'm not okay. Well, then you're not going to be okay. You're going to have serious problems in there, and you won't know what it's like to be free. Yoga, we talk about liberation, freedom. It doesn't mean freedom from life. It means freedom to experience life. It means freedom from yourself, freedom from this mess. And that becomes the entire spiritual path, is instead of devoting your life to your mess, that you limited your experiences to they have to be the way I want them to. I agree. If things unfold the way you want them to be, you get happy. Why? Because you're not closing yourself. You're willing to open yourself to the experience. What if you were open to life? Those are the teachings. What if you appreciated that you dropped down onto the nicest planet there was, and everything that happened is an experience, and you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm back. I wonder what's going to happen. It doesn't mean you don't go to work. It doesn't mean you don't do the best you can, but you don't go to work in order to make everything be the way you want it to be so you can be okay. That's called taking, not giving. You don't go to work because you're scared of failure and you have to do something to make sure that people accept you. You go to work because it's fun, whatever your work is. You go to work because you're filled with love, filled with excitement, filled with gratitude to be alive, and this is the job, the chore that was given to you. It's your part of the universe's work. Right? Everything in the universe is in balance, it has harmony, it has things to do. You have this to do. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you're picking up garbage, if you're doing operations, it doesn't make any difference. It's all the same. You are sitting there expressing the beauty and love that is inside of you, that you came down with. You're open, you're clear. If you're sweeping the floor, you do the best job you possibly can sweeping the floor, and you're totally satisfied. And if you swept that floor every single day, you would be excited to go back and do it the next day. That's a healthy being. But instead, we're listening to this garbage we built inside of our head. There's nothing wrong with your mind. Yoga is not against your mind. Yoga worships your mind. It's brilliant. You have a great mind. You have a great mind. It took the earth and flew to the moon. It's like what it did. It took darkness and made it light. It's nice, comfortable temperature in here. You have a great mind. But to do this with your mind, that personal garbage, that everything has to be the way I want it to be for me to be okay, that is the definition of ego. Everything is about me. We don't like to think we're egotistical. We're way past. People are extreme egotistical. We say, oh, he's egotistical. The truth of the matter is you think that what's happening in front of you has something to do with you. It's hilarious, right? There's something going on everywhere. It's all over the universe. It has nothing to do with you. You're just here experiencing the moment in front of you. Good. Enjoy it. Help it. Work with it. Raise it. But don't be neurotic about it. Don't sit there and say, that moment in front of me better be the way I decided it needed to be for me to be okay, or I'm going to get upset. All right? A yogi, a truly spiritual person, looks out at the world and says, wow, I can't even believe you're there. I can't believe you're there. It's hilarious, right? There was nothing after the Big Bang but gases, thick clouds of hydrogen gas. Nobody touched them, and they made themselves into you. How can you not be blown away? How can you not think of that, right? How can you not say thank you in awe? You start with awe. You start with, wow, look what it made. God made, science made, I don't care. You didn't do it. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Okay? So you sit there and you look at it, and your starting position is acceptance, respect, honor. This is the day the Lord hath made. This is the day, the science forces, right? There's 4 fundamental forces. Go study the Standard Model, right? Just 4 forces. You don't have to be a physicist. Electromagnetism, gravity, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear. Give me those forces and some quark, leptons, and bosons, and I'll build the universe. That's what your scientists have told you. Those 4 forces are exactly the right charge in relationship to each other. That if you leave them alone for 13.8 billion years, this is what shows up. How can you not be blown away? Because it's not what I want it to be. Well, who gave you that right to drop down here into a system that existed for 13.8 billion years and made this? Look around. Oh, my God. And you're saying, but it's not what I want. I don't want it to rain today. I'm going camping. I don't want the car. The fact that there is a car, I can't even talk about it. Right? I should blow your mind, right? I always say to you, the bottom line is this. The world is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the world. Is that a true statement or not? How can the weather bother you? It's weather. It's been here forever. You bother yourself about the weather. The car in front of you cannot be bothering you. You're bothering yourself about the car in front of you. It's everything. And so you wake up and you realize you don't have to change anything except yourself. You don't change what you're doing. You don't change your relationship. You don't have to do any of that. It has nothing to do with that. And it doesn't take time. It's not like I have to go meditate for 3 weeks, right? It means you wake up and realize I am a thinking, intelligent, wise human being. And boy, have I missed this, right? I gave total importance to this limited model that I built inside of my head because of the limited experiences that I had, which were nothing, right? But I think they're all I had, so that's all I got. It's not all you have. Life brings before you something that is connected to all of life. Every moment in front of you is connected to every other moment through time and space. If your great-great-great-grandmother never met your great-great-great-grandfather, you're not here. And you had nothing to do with that. And that is true of every single moment that caused the moment now to be the way it is. So you start with this openness. That's what it's all about, openness. Not closed-mindedness, openness. And you start appreciating and respecting the moments that are unfolding in front of you. Every human being is a miracle. It's a miracle. Everybody's got 24 trillion cells that devoted their life to give you a body. How can you not respect that person? Do you understand that, right? And you stop with all this judgment and all this garbage and opinions and preferences and hopes and dreams and concepts and views and beliefs, and you just cool it. And you sit down and you start letting that stuff go. That's how you grow spiritually. The next time you judge somebody, you let it go. You think of these 2 truths, right? I was dropped out onto a planet, and this is what's going on. It's pretty amazing. And I'm not staying. So I'm going to enjoy every single moment of every single second. If you do that, little by little, over every day, every moment, you keep letting go of what we call your personal self, of your ego. You just let it go. I don't want to do the dishes. It's kind of neat. You're sitting on a planet in the middle of nowhere. That's how I used to do the dishes when I had to, right? I'd put Mickey way up on top of the planet, big, way big, like Gulliver, right? Way big up there. And he's got a dish rag. And he's looking out over the universe, washing the dishes. It becomes fun. And you just start enjoying what you're doing by getting your head straight. And you keep letting go of the resistance. And you make a vow to yourself. That stuff you stored in there, that's a problem, right? You stored this stuff inside that you couldn't handle. And now you built your house on that stuff, your whole mental way of thinking. And so you sit there and you don't take any more in. Whatever happens today, if somebody says something, doesn't say something, somebody yells at you, somebody criticizes you, whatever it is, first let go. You just first let go. Let go. Doesn't mean you can't respond back, but you don't respond back with defensiveness or immediate reactiveness, because that's just you protecting this thing you built inside. Anybody know anything about protecting that thing in there? You decide, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to devote my life to the lowest part of my being, the garbage I stored inside. And so you learn to let go. You keep letting go. And they write me from all over the world. All they do is start doing that, and everything changes. Of course it changes, because you've opened up some. And then what you're going to start to feel is this beautiful energy inside. What energy? The energy that you feel when you get the way you want is because you didn't resist. So if you're not resisting more, you will feel that energy more. It is not that because she said she loved you that you felt love. What if you didn't like her or him? And they came up there when you had your friends around and they said, oh, I love you so much. You wouldn't feel love. You would feel resistance. It is not somebody's words or somebody's actions. It's your receptivity. So if you are open to more things, you're going to feel more joy. You're going to feel less tension. And so you just decide, I don't get to decide life. I didn't make it. It's the result of all the forces that cause it to be the way it is. I can work with it, but I cannot resist it. So when it unfolds in front of me, the first thing I do is pranam to it. I say, thank you. I honor you. I respect your right to exist, because you are the result of all the forces that made you be the way you are. And you practice that. It's called practicing acceptance or practicing appreciation, gratitude. And you just keep letting go, and you're going to start to feel more and more good energy. And then the energy will become so strong inside of you that it becomes a palatable force. You actually feel it flowing up inside of you. And it starts lifting you. Your heart is always lifted up. You're always smiling because it's raising your muscles up in your face. And you're just feeling sharp and clear. There's no more spaciness. This is yoga. Right? Yoga is that energy, how to get and work with that energy. And so it gets higher and higher, and eventually it will get so high that it literally intoxicates you. You just feel it pouring up your spine and through your whole being every day, every moment, lifting you, raising you. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day. Call it spirit, call it Shakti, call it Chi. I couldn't care less. Right? You're going to feel this energy, and it becomes your life. And then your thoughts start trying to be weird, but the energy is so beautiful you don't want to do it. It's the energy you feel in the arms of your beloved. The energy you feel when you first hold your first child or you succeed is in there all the time, except you limited it to things being the way you want. When you stop doing that, now you see the path? It's not that hard, right? When you stop doing that, the energy is there all the time. And what the great ones have told you, including Christ and Buddha and all the great masters of every tradition, is when you let go enough, it pulls your consciousness into it because it's so beautiful. It's not a struggle. It's so beautiful that you keep being pulled into it until eventually you let go. And Christ said, my Father and I are one. And Buddha went to nirvana. The great masters, Master Meher Baba, one of the great masters of India, great yogic master, said, my consciousness was a drop. It fell into the ocean. Find it. You will never find that drop. And you start understanding yoga means merger, oneness, like the Shema, right? The Lord is one. You just realize your consciousness is capable of experiencing God. It's capable of experiencing the consciousness of the universe. I don't want to get into that. But start off where you are and understand the journey is phenomenal. It's beautiful. By all means, you keep doing what you're doing because you're serving. You're helping. You're serving. And I'll close down with one thing I've ended up teaching most of you, right? Is the highest life you can live is that every moment that passes before you is better off because it did. That's the highest. You can't live a higher life than that. That if every moment that passes before you is raised because it passed it before you, it's just better off because it did. And so you do that with your life instead of defining this limited thing and then struggling and fighting and getting all neurotic. Very good. So focus on those two truths I told you, all right? You're still on a planet in the middle of nowheres, and you ain't staying here. Now, you should remember on a regular basis to check back, what am I doing with my life based on those two truths? Jagrative.